Hi there, and welcome to the Multiply You podcast, where we showcase top experts in their space and reveal all the secrets you need to know to multiply you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Austin Clark here, host of the Multiply You podcast, where I interview experts in their space and people that have just really been there, done that, figured things out that maybe we figured out, or maybe we've needed a reminder, or maybe we haven't figured out. And so they act as kind of a knowledge bridge between the gap of where we are and where we want to be. And so really excited to be able to have Tim and Shannon on today. They run a fantastic shop. It's a relatively new shop. And they're going to share with us a little bit more about that here in just a moment. This episode, as they all are, it's brought to you by my company, Moxie Pest Control. We're growing, we're expanding. We have been very excited to do so. I've shared on the last few podcasts that we've kind of wrapped up over the last several weeks our annual planning for 2023. We've reviewed where we were and where we ended for 2022. It was fantastic. We just last week wrapped up our Q1 event where we review the last quarter and year and then lay out plans for the next quarter and year and get everyone aligned on kind of the number one thing that we're all focusing on. And there's just a lot of energy and a lot of excitement around this growth. Part of how we've been doing it, aside from the digital marketing, the pay-per-click campaigns, the email campaigns, tech campaigns, or social campaigns, or whatever else, is we have been growing via acquisition. And so if you or anyone is out there that's got 5+ trucks on the road, have been in business for a little while, reputable company, and are interested or want to talk about what the next chapter of your life may look like if you've considered divesting, I would certainly love to have those conversations with you, even if at the end of the day, we're not doing a deal together. It could just be good information to have now and moving towards the future. So you can call me on my cell or text me. It's 480-254-9730, or you can email me directly at aclark@moxiepestcontrol.com. So Tim and Shannon, this is a unique story. I don't know that I've done a podcast or an episode quite like this one before. They both are relatively new. They have just opened their franchise in the last year and a half in 2021. Tim has spent the last 13 plus years in the HVAC space, which is a space that I love and that is near and dear to my heart. I have a lot of friends that either own or work in the HVAC space. And then some of Shannon's background is that she was formerly a project manager in a construction industry. And so there's kind of two sides of maybe the same sort of coin, if you will. And then they purchased the Mosquito Shield franchise. They've got 4 territories in all back in November of 2021. And so, I mean, literally, we're talking less than a year and a half here. Shannon's the mother of 3 boys ranging from 15 years old to 4 years old. We were just talking kind of before the show. That is a full-time job in and of itself. And so you got your 9 to 5, and then you have your after hours job that a lot of times are happening at the same time. So on top of Shannon running the household and Tim being the boots on the ground, getting a lot of the jobs done, she's also very involved in the business side of the franchise, which include marketing, accounting, customer relations, bookkeeping, all the things that a lot of you are aware of. And so, Tim and Shannon, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show. How are you both doing today?
We're good.
We're doing well. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, really happy to have you on. And so, this is unique to me because it doesn't seem very often that people are kind of doing well. They're in an established career. They've spent 13 years in HVAC, which is a very strong trade and probably is becoming just more and more that way. And then Shannon, you spending many years as a project manager. How tell us a little bit about before your life, before you opened the Mosquito franchise, and then what led the both of you to say, hey, we need to change, or let's consider doing something different.
I know for me, I got tired of running companies for other people and helping them make money and not have any control whatsoever over how they were spending the money. You know, kind of not paying people they should be paying, doing things incorrectly, illegally, a lot of times. So I got tired of helping people do things they shouldn't be doing and tired of working for somebody else. I had no control over my schedule. When I needed to be there for my boys, I couldn't. once we met and we wanted to go on a date with him, a lot of times couldn't even do that because I had to go deal with work stuff. So I got tired of helping other people make money and having no control over my external life.
Gotcha. That's Shannon's hot take. Tim, how about you?
A little different. Being a union HVAC tech, we were well taken care of. So, every business, every owner is going to run their company the way they're going to run it. I had the advantage of working for multiple contractors, so I got to see different modes of how they do business. And I think it just gave me a good example of if I ran my own company, what would I do different? And so it got to a point in HVAC, it was a crossroads. It was switching up and going further in depth into chiller, water-cooled chiller work versus air-cooled and the lighter HVAC equipment, or getting a supervision, something like that. And quite honestly, I just got burnt out with it, and it's time for something different. And so we saw this opportunity and we're like, well, if we don't do it now or we don't give it a go now, we'll never know.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of both of the perspectives there. Tell us more about the opportunity. I mean, that is a pretty specific niche, if you will. I mean, why not start your own HVAC company? Why not start your own perhaps consultancy company, Shannon, as it relates to project management or work as an independent contractor or a variety of different things? Why are you guys doing what you're doing specifically?
To work together. That was one thing, is we wanted to work together as a team because we work so well together in our personal lives. We figured business-wise, we work very well together. We think very much alike. So it's really no arguing or anything going back and forth because we're always on the same page usually. So that was one part of it. We wanted to work together, but also starting a business from the ground up is your own business is exponentially more difficult than buying a franchise, because a franchise is like Mosquito Shield already had a blueprint for us to follow. I had never started a business. I mean, I did, but it was more on the financial side, working for different companies. I had never done all of it before, so I had no idea what all went into it. And it honestly, it's not even that easy to start a franchise because there's a lot more that went into it than I wasn't even aware of. But it's a lot easier to start a franchise than it is to start a business by yourself. I can tell you that much. So that's one reason we wanted to start slow, I guess. Not slow, but we wanted some help with it. And Mosquito Shield definitely has a lot of help. They have the corporate office and they have access to every other franchisee out there that you can ask them any question you want. Our local Houston franchisees, they were very helpful, still are. Well, now there's just two of us, but he bought another territory. So, but anyway, it was easier to start that way than I thought to start our own company.
Absolutely. And again, going back to the whole HVAC construction world / construction, Shannon was in construction. We're just kind of tired of that pace because it's always hurry up and wait. And then when it's time to go, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And so we wanted to have a little more control so that we could structure this business to where it's more comfortable for us.
Mm-hmm.
The market's saturated down here in the Houston area with HVAC companies. They just pop up every year.
It's hot, so they need them.
It's not that we couldn't succeed in doing that. We wanted to start something that we know for a fact is just going to be successful right off the bat, get this off the ground. And maybe in the future, we may dabble a little in HVAC down the road, but something more focused and specialized to give the customers out there a better quality product.
Yeah. And the summer before we bought the franchise, we moved to a house in Santa Fe on 5 acres. And in Santa Fe, we're in Galveston County. So we're about 15, 20 minutes, not even that far from the actual water because we have the bayou out there. But I walked out on our back porch, which is an off-white color, all hardy plank. And it was black. It was just covered in mosquitoes.
Wow.
I just can't. I can't do this anymore. So the fact that when Emilio Stoli, he was our franchisee coordinator or whatever for Franchise Connect, he gave us 5 franchises that he thought would work well for the money we wanted to put into it and the amount of time we wanted to put into it. And Mosquito Shield immediately stood out, for one, because I had seen the vans in Dallas the summer before we went up there for a vacation. And then 2, because we know it's necessary down here. I mean, mosquitoes are just awful all year round. We're actually getting customers. We were getting new customers in December. We're getting new customers in January. We just picked up a soccer field on the peninsula. So, I mean, they're here every year, all year round. So we knew it was necessary. Yes. Absolutely. And the product does work. It really does.
So what I heard, backing up a little bit, as far as where the both of you were previously in HVAC and project management, Shannon a little bit, not disgruntled, but maybe a little fed up. I want to put it lightly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want old bosses calling and saying, Shannon, but maybe you had a different opinion about how to do things, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And a little bit more control over the schedule and time. And not similar, but Tim, for you, it was kind of like when you guys are cranking, you're cranking. When it's quiet, it's quiet. You know, with some of the union backing, normally that means contractors are taken care of a little bit better. And you kind of have had a unique perspective in being able to work for many different contractors to see how they ran their businesses, if you will, how they treated people, how they, just all sorts of things as far as their quality. And then the opportunity, from what I recall, is it just presented itself. You guys knew that there was a need, and you worked together personally. You guys get along real well, and figured that would translate, into a professional relationship, which it has. And now you've got a little bit more control, or a lot more control over your schedule, and you're working together for one another. And then rather than going out and doing it all on your own, because you guys hadn't necessarily done that before, you thought the franchise route was a little bit more attractive because there was some support, there was some brand recognition, other franchisees that you could call, and, templates already for how to set up a van or a truck, right? This is what this marketing looks like. This is what we do in markets like this as far as marketing in January and in the spring and in the summer. As far as markets go, you guys are in Houston. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. And so as it relates to HVAC, they're kind of like, I don't know if you guys have Circle K's down there, but Circle K is like a big, so they're on every corner. Pest control companies are on every corner here in Phoenix. HVAC companies are on every corner here in Phoenix. And so, there's stiff competition, but it's because there is so much demand. And, you, Shannon, being a mother and having that experience where you stepped out on the, patio and it was just covered in mosquitoes, that's a real great case study for you to be able to say, my goodness, like I was just fed up. My kids were getting eaten left and right. They couldn't go to sleep because they had so many bumps, sort of things. And so there is certainly a personal experience with the problem that the both of you are solving as far as mosquito control. Let's talk about the last year or year and a half. So you guys took the plunge, we don't have to get into the specifics of how like the franchise works, but normally there's a capital investment for a territory or two or three or four. So you guys did that, committed, got onboarded, got things running November-ish of 2021. And now it's been about a year. Let's talk about that last year. I mean, have things, and be real with people, because that's what they want to know. They don't want to know that you guys made $5 bajillion last year and life is good and you never work and you go to the beach every day and your kids don't bother you. But how has the last year been? I mean, and let's first talk, if it's okay, about the things that maybe didn't go so well, so that others can maybe learn from experiences. I mean, going into new things, we as humans have psychologically a thought about what that will be or what that will look like. And it almost never goes that way. And so what was a little bit different for each of you? What were some of the struggles that you didn't maybe anticipate? And what was difficult about this last year or so? And then we'll get into the good news and the pros.
Well, we purchased our franchise. First, we purchased 3 territories in November, but we didn't actually get going until March or April of last year, actually, because we had our daughter beginning of December 2021. So we had to take kind of a little break to have her and get settled in and whatnot. And then we had to wait for our van to be, outfitted and all that kind of stuff, and just for everything to roll on in, which took longer than we expected. But again, was at the end of, not the end of, but almost the middle of COVID. So the production of everything was just halted and slower. Sorry. So we weren't even aware. That was one thing I didn't expect, was for things to take as long as it did just for us to get going. But a lot of that had to do with the economy and everything that was going on in general. So it was no fault of Mosquito Shield. That's just how it went for everyone. So it took a little while for us to get going. That was that was kind of a big shock for me. And then the marketing, Mosquito Shield changed up their who they were going to work with for the actual, how we run everything, our operating system and our financial system, and then also the marketing company right when we started. So we had to wait for them to give them all of our information. So it took almost until June for us to even be online. And that's in the middle of this mosquito season. So that again was a big shock to us because our marketing it was completely non-existent at that point. There was no digital marketing for us whatsoever. And then when it was on there, it wasn't even correct half the time. So a lot of our stuff started off with organic marketing, and it still is. A lot of our marketing is organic. Everything we do is the two of us for the most part. And we like it that way because we have control over the message.
Yeah, pretty nerve-wracking starting out for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll bet. So things initially took a lot longer than maybe you anticipated. No fault of anyone's other than it was just kind of the state of the world, and computer chips were behind, and COVID delayed a lot of things. And so you too certainly felt that in your franchise. And then internally, there were some big changes as it related to your operating system, which maybe pushed things off a few more weeks or a couple months. And then kind of right in the middle of it, there was a big change internally with the marketing that, when there's changes, it normally doesn't, it isn't 100% right from day one. There's normally copy that goes out that's incorrect, or messages that are like for another market altogether. And so it takes a little bit of time to either catch or correct or fix some of those things. So thank you so much, Shannon, for sharing. Tim, do you have anything to add to that or from your perspective?
You covered pretty much everything. And I think it happened for a reason. The biggest is it's our first year. Those are probably fourth or fifth year franchise owners' decisions that we had to make in those first few months.
Yes.
Switching up with software and operating platform. But being the strong team we are, I think we said, okay, let's just pull the trigger. Let's do it. We're already here. Let's do it and see what happens. And that's all we could do. On the operations end, I would say, so I'm over 40 years old now. And I'll say getting into the middle of summer, I was feeling my age. So
it's still hot down there in Houston in June and July and August, right?
It's humid. Like you walk outside and feel like
I've heard you guys have got a little bit of humidity down there, just a little bit, right?
Just a little bit. Only 93% every day.
You can't breathe. It's like heavy. It hurts.
Yeah. Other than that, it was rough, but
and then we had a drought.
We're out of the weeds, I would say.
The drought is also what hurt us badly because usually in Houston in the summertime it's rain, which mosquitoes need
brings
more.
Out the mosquitoes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was no rain for a good 4 months or so. So a lot of people didn't have any need for a mosquito company. But fortunately for us, halfway through in July, we decided to trade. We got one call from somebody out in Bolivar Peninsula, which you know how Texas looks like. But Galveston, you have Galveston Island, then a ferry goes across the Bolivar Peninsula. We own Galveston Island in our territory originally. We did not own Bolivar, but neither did anyone else. But we were getting calls for Bolivar to service out there. So we worked out a deal with Mosquito Shield Corporate to trade one zip code in South Houston where we didn't want to go anyways because it's far away from us for 3 zip codes in Bolivar. They thought we were crazy because we were losing a lot of single family homes, but we have blown up in Bolivar. That's our main area now.
I'd say a third of the business we've got built so far comes out of Bolivar, and it's just continually growing.
Yes, that's where we keep getting customers because they need it, because they are inundated with mosquitoes out there. It's terrible all year round.
How about that? And so is that the area where you have to ferry over every day?
Yes.
Tim, that's not that bad of a commute, man. You can just kind of ferry over, take a 10, 15-minute nap or look out the window.
Oh, the ferry ride. You can sit there for hours just to get on the ferry. It's ridiculous. Galveston I used to live in Galveston for 10 years, and it is just tourist season all year round. No matter what's going on, there's tourists there. So waiting for that ferry is miserable.
The key is Monday through Wednesday is the best time to make that trip.
Early morning.
But the way we're trekking, we're going to be out there every day of the week. So
yeah.
And,
well, we were able to hear some of the things that either were unexpected or didn't go quite as planned from Shannon. Tim, maybe you could lead out and touch on some of the things that were real big wins or things that were really, really positive that happened in the last year. What does some of that look like from your perspective?
Well, thank the good Lord that I had the experience in HVAC I did, and that Shannon had her experience in construction, because as far as office work goes, I'm clueless on the majority of it, But when she gets in there, she'll put in a 5-hour day and get 8 hours worth of work done. And similarly, out in the field, I do the same on the operations end. We ran into quite a few snags just getting set up operationally, and we were quick to make quick decisions and get everything in place. But once we got rolling, the best decision that Shannon made, she actually brought it up, was purchasing that, trading Bolivar. Let's pick up Bolivar and forget this zip code over here. And that's actually been what's really changed the game for us overall. If we hadn't have done that, I don't know that we would have been able to keep the doors open this first year.
Yeah.
How about that? Well, and sometimes you need to pivot. Sometimes you need to adjust. Sometimes it's okay to have a plan that you make adjustments to, because if you kept on that same course, maybe the doors wouldn't be open a couple of months later. And sometimes things happen for a reason or a certain way where the doors can be open. You can make it through a drought, you can make it through a winter, and you can start off the next season with good foundation of marketing. You already have all of the capital investment and equipment that you need. And now it's just time to field those phone calls, close them, and get it done. So what are some of the things in both of your previous experience that you think have helped to prepare you for running your own business, running your own franchise? I mean, certainly you had examples over the years of maybe Shannon, what not to do, or maybe how not to treat people or finances or things. But what are some of the experiences that each of you have had that have been educational experiences or just solid experiences to help you be running a more efficient business and franchise?
Well, I was a project manager, but I was also an office manager and financial manager for construction companies. So that's why the programs and everything that we use, I'm very familiar with. I didn't use the exact program, but any program that I had to learn I had to teach myself. No one ever taught me anything. Especially in construction, the turnover rate can be very high in offices. You kind of just get thrown in and kind of have to figure it out on your own. So the fact that I had to do that prepared me for learning how to figure all this stuff out, because unfortunately, again, we went to a new system and nobody knew what was going on, like how to work it. So all of us that decided to go with this new system kind of had to figure it out ourselves. There was no one there at corporate or other franchisees that had used it before to kind of guide us through it. So we had to figure it out on our own. So I've definitely had the experience doing that. But I also before I did all of the construction stuff, I was a property manager for a local mall here, and their leasing manager. So I had a lot of experience with marketing. I worked with realtors, with the Galveston Association of Realtors. I have a lot of experience with following my instincts, I guess, on certain situations and figuring out where is best to put our energy and our efforts and our money most of the time. The mall that I worked for went from being literally what they called a dead mall to being a huge city center now. A lot of the new tenants that they have, I brought in. So, and again, I learned very quickly to trust my instincts. And that's kind of what happened with the Bolivar situation. And that would be my advice to anybody. If you know your market, if you know where you are, the people around you, kind of what they want, trust your instincts always. Because if you feel like something's going to work 9 times out of 10, it probably will,
Yeah.
Wonderful. Shannon, thank you.
Yeah. I was going to say, especially you're getting external opinions, but those opinions aren't going to apply to your market. They're not going to apply to the community you live in. So the quicker you tune into your local community's needs, the more successful, and be reactive to that in a positive way. Make sure that you're adjusting your product or the service you provide so that you're geared towards that community. We were told quite a bit from various people that, we need to target these high income earning zip codes. And
do
that just doesn't make sense around here, because we got Texas City, we've got a bunch of plant workers here. And if you know anything about plant workers or roughneck blue collar guys, they like to get outside, barbecue, and spend time with their family, just like the next guy. So there's a market there, and if the product's affordable enough, they're going to pay for it.
Yes. And that's why we started. We're the only ones in Texas. We're the only franchise other than the other ones in Florida that offer the monthly payment plans and that offer the 12-month season. So corporate, they were originally not really for that idea. They thought that was going to be, because I guess they had tried that in the past with other franchises and it didn't work out for them. They ended up losing money. But one of the positive things that happened this year is we stayed in the green. I didn't have to deposit once we started going. By the time it was August, September, I didn't have to put any capital investments into our business account. Our income was enough to sustain us and cover our operating expenses and our overhead, which for a first year, I mean, I know just running companies, it takes a good 3 to 5 years to make a profit, but even to get going to where you're not having to continuously put your own money into it, it's not going to happen in the first year, but that did happen. So that was shocking. And maybe that's why we're getting noticed now, because we were, we actually survived through all of this. Yeah. We're very blessed.
What a big win. Yeah. Talk about, and you guys will be the first ones to prove that model and that it works and that all the franchisees can do it. So they'll be calling you, I'm sure. As we start to round this out over the next couple of minutes, what are some things, and maybe we can go to Shannon first and then Tim. What is your outlook on 2023 for your company? What is, from some of your previous experience, there's a lot of headlines in the news about a recession. There's certainly not rumors, but about layoffs. But I mean, layoffs starting at tech companies happening every single day, and not 5 or 10 employees, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. And so with that grim news or whatever, what is some of your outlook for 2023?
I'm actually still really positive because, again, like Tim said, we're in an area where we have a lot of chemical plants, a lot of, the businesses that are running here, they are necessary. So they're going to continue running. I mean, I know tech companies are too, but you guys can't get gasoline over in Arizona if our stuff doesn't run down here,
Sure.
So they're going to continuously have jobs here. They're building huge neighborhoods every day out here. More people are moving here because Houston has a lot of work for people. So I'm not really concerned about the recession hitting Texas so hard because, again, Texas's infrastructure itself is exponentially better than most other states. It sustains itself. That's the way it's built, and we run our everything. So Texas has done pretty well itself. And I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that we don't have another drought. But as we did saw last summer, the drought won't keep us. It won't hold us back necessarily because there's still going to be a need for mosquito protection because they still pop up no matter what. So I'm actually really hopeful. I think we're going to meet our goals. We already have to get our first employee in another van right now. We're working on that. So that's exciting because we didn't know if we'd have to do that by this point. So I'm excited. I think things are going to go really well.
Oh, yeah.
Very good. Shannon, thank you. Tim, some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, right along that line, I mean, Texas does pretty much, I always say this to Shannon, Texas has its own economy.
It does.
And if you work HVAC or any other trade down here, you can see it when you go out there. Within a month or two, you can, this state is thriving.
Mm-hmm.
It's brought in a lot of new business. A lot of those companies that are downsizing in other states are actually moving to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So that just means the population is going to go up. And not only are we bringing in new residents, we're bringing in high-paying residents. So we saw that in the housing market last year.
Oh, my Lord,
even though it's taken a dive everywhere else, Texas, Florida, there's certain states that are still doing okay. They could be in better shape, but we had a good run for those past 2 years for sure.
You've certainly got a lot of liberal state residents that are going to more conservative areas with, like you said, Tim, they're high income or high net worth, and they're buying, they have to live somewhere. So they're buying up homes, buying up real estate, starting to spend their money there locally, right? In grocery stores or goods and services like mosquito services or what have you. And so all good news, but I interrupted you. Keep going.
No, you're good. And I think, so business wise, yes, we got our first new hire coming in next month. I'm going to spend 2 months training him so that once I cut him loose, if he's not doing his job, he's not doing his job. But I think we got a good level-headed young man coming in.
Yeah.
And he's going to do really well. And even in the future, transition him into a supervision role when we start bringing more employees on. And then that'll free me up to help Shannon with more of the marketing and networking with the local community, businesses.
He does that more than I do. I'm in the office. He's meeting with people, and he's good at it too.
And that's what it takes to really drive it. Because if you're just sitting on your hands, it's not nobody knows about you. If you keep
it's not going to happen.
No, you got to talk.
Yeah.
You got to talk.
On the point of the recession, sorry, I just want to say something.
Okay.
If something like that does come to our area, I'm still not necessarily concerned, because the way, like with the monthly payments and the way we have formatted how we, what we charge people, we made it affordable. Unlike a lot of other people, we made it affordable, and we don't just come out once a month for a fee. We come out 2 to 3 times depending on the weather, but at minimum, you're guaranteed we're going to be there twice a month to service your property. So people realize, like, we're saving. I did like a little spreadsheet one time to show people like how much money they spend on citronella candles and spray and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, you're still saving money if you hire us, because you're not having to spend $200 on all this other stuff and spraying your yard with cutter like every week or something. So,
and you're not out there doing it yourself
exactly.
in July or
exactly.
when you'd rather be in the pool. You've got
exactly.
Tim out there. So
yeah.
Sure.
So even if something does happen, I think people here are still going to be okay, because it's not like they have to spend a ton of money up front for us to come take care of them. They can pay us monthly and we'll be there. And if they need to pause service or cancel, then we don't charge them anything. Like, just go ahead. There's no contract. So just give me a call and call me back when you need us. And we've had people do that, but we've also had people say they want to pause until March, then call us back in December and January and be like, we're getting ate up over here. Please come take care of us. Sign me back up. So the way we've modeled things for our franchise specifically, it's working. And I think it will continue to work.
Yeah. Well, I am so glad to hear all of the success that the both of you had as you've managed the ups and downs of owning a new business or a new franchise, irregardless of some of the delay in things and some of the big changes that happened internally. It is kudos to the both of you, and it's a fantastic business that you've built. And it's all up from there. Year 1 is under your belt. You guys never have to do year 1 again. Now it's focusing on year 2.
Yeah.
How do people, Tim and Shannon, if they want to continue the conversation or reach out to you, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can email me. It's Shannon, SHANNON at Mosquito Shield, SEHTX.com. So Southeast Houston, Texas.com. Or they can give us a call at 281-763-7231. And I'm extension 0. He's extension 1. So
wonderful. Thank you both for your time. Thank you, everybody else, for tuning in. I know that I certainly learned a lot and have been inspired by a lot of the things and experiences that the both of you have shared. Please, if you haven't subscribe, everybody. These will drop once a week. And until then, create a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Multiply You podcast. You'll see us again soon when you subscribe for future episodes.